With Batman's rogues gallery containing all the most gross and grotty villains, as well as some of the most genuinely unhinged, you have all the necessary ingredients for some well and truly dark moments in the character's comics. There's a good chance that Joker's popularity means that many of his worst moments would see the big screen anyways, as we've seen with the animated version of The Killing Joke. But there are still many other various edgelords and villains who can be held responsible for some serious levels of gross. Everything from the torture of children to Batman himself being made into a fleshy human door monster features in the weird and wonderful pages of DC's most brooding hero. And it all manages to happen while still feeling feasible within the sordid streets of Gotham. Well, that is unless you count All-Star Batman and Robin, of course. So, I'm Ewan, this is What Culture Comics, and here are 10 insanely dark Batman moments the movies won't show you. Number 10. Warren White's Arkham Experience. Warren White is a Batman villain who is criminally underused, as his backstory with Arkham Asylum living hell is one of the most interesting villain origins of DC's entire collective roster. Despite this, the Great White Shark's beginnings are sure to never feature on the big screen, even if the character does, as Warren's fault of villainy is anything but family-friendly. White is sent to Arkham after pretending to be mentally disturbed to avoid a longer jail sentence, with the grifter totally unaware of the hellscape he has just trapped himself in. The asylum and its various occupants mistreat the man in every way possible, culminating in Jane Doe stealing his identity and leaving him in a freezer to die. While Warren doesn't actually die, the harsh temperatures freeze off his various extremities, leaving White both physically and mentally traumatized. It's a brutal chain of events that really justifies why the Great White Shark is the way he is, which makes it a real shame that its gross out factor means that those who haven't seen the comic may never know the sordid tale of the supervillain's past. Number 9. Batman leaves KGBEAST to die. For the storyline of Batman 420, cue dank air horn sirens now, the tale of Batman fighting the KGBEAST is surprisingly serious. Not only does the pair's initial confrontation result in the villain cutting off his own hand, but their second sees Batman trap Anatoly in an underground sewer chamber, sealing the Russian assassin away in an old abandoned subway tunnel, with the implication being that the Dark Knight is going to leave KGBEAST there to die. Though Batman does eventually call the police to recover the villain, this is only actively addressed in another comic, meaning that Bruce's decision to leave him there was actively retconned when writers suddenly became aware of how much that would make Batman more Jigsaw than Vigilante Outlaw. Number 8. Professor Pig's Circus of Horrors. Professor Pig is to Batman what Carnage is to Spider-Man. Both exist as some of the most frightening characters in their respective rosters, not even because of the damage they can do, but rather because of how unpredictable and callous they can be. Case in point, our first time seeing Pig and Damian Wayne fight one another involves Damian being overwhelmed by Dollatrons while trying to rescue one of their kind. Now, this doesn't sound too bad until you learn that these Dollatrons are in fact brainwashed people who have been horrifically surgically altered to all appear the exact same, which coincidentally happens to be absolutely terrifying. Pig only gets one moment of dialogue in the whole thing, and it's somehow even worse than the Dollatrons themselves. He launches into a monologue that is as confusing as it is likely to put the fear of God into the reader. Trust me, it's seriously messed up. Oh, and it's also heavily implied that the Dollatrons have had their genitals removed too, so hey, enjoy that little nugget of nightmare fuel tonight. Don't say I didn't warn you. Number 7. Lord Deathman. In any logical, sensible format, you'd never in a million years expect a villain named Lord Deathman to have anything near a dark moment. And yet, in the magical world of comics, this is exactly the case, with the skull-faced immortal man having a surprising share of dark moments for such a goofy-looking guy. Deathman's return in the 2011 Batman Incorporated comic highlighted this nightmarish potential best when the seemingly dead villain is cut open during an autopsy, and then proceeds to brutalize the surgeons carrying out the operation, with his pierced open neck wound seemingly having no effect on him whatsoever. Add in the fact that Batman left the bizarre villain trapped in space for years as punishment for his crimes, which is troubling in its own special way now that we think about it, and you've got a villain whose time in comics is without a doubt on some list of antagonists banned from featuring on the big screen. Number 6. Scarecrow mentally tortures a child. While the rest of the story cycle of violence is unnerving enough, containing every awful phobia from disembowelments to spiders, the worst part is actually also the least gruesome. This is because Jonathan Crane has also kidnapped a small girl and is holding her hostage to extract a more potent fear toxin from her. How? Well, by bottling her tears as she is traumatized from Scarecrow's fear serum, with the poor child all the while trying to understand and comfort her disturbed captor, which makes for exactly as troubling a scene as you'd expect. With Crane's own childhood trauma being shown to us in painful detail, we aren't even allowed to fully demonize the villain either, as it's made readily apparent that he himself is a creature made of his own trauma, which only makes the whole thing all the much more darker. Number 5. Batman makes Robin eat rats? All-star Batman and Robin has been roasted many times over the years for how jarringly different it made Batman to the Dark Knight we know and love. Of all these moments, though, none were as transparently out of character as when Bruce basically tortures a young Dick Grayson into becoming the Boy Wonder, leaving him in the dark at the Batcave and forcing him to eat rats to survive. This is by no means the most cringe-inducing moment of the series, as moments like the dynamic duo painting themselves yellow to try and kill Green Lantern are equally bad. But the distorting of the bond between Batman and Robin does feel much worse than other moments, due to the needless edginess it tries to offer out. Oh, Frank Miller, how the mighty have fallen. It doesn't really make sense that Batman would mistreat his sidekick like this in the first place, as precisely no part of Batman's own training involved eating disease-riddled vermin. Or maybe it did. Did it? Oh god, this makes it all so much worse. With All-Star Batman and Robin sacrificing crucial character dynamics of pointless dramatization, it seems a safe bet to say it's one comic that will remain squarely tucked away from any potential future movie scripts, and good riddance too. Number 4. Dark Knight's Metal. Dark Knight's Metal and its various spin-offs provided something that many comics audiences hadn't experienced in a long time, a feeling of genuine anticipation and shock, as many of the most dramatic moments of the series were the ones that you just couldn't predict, even if you tried. Because anyone who predicted that in the third issue, a huge bat arm would force its way out of Bruce in the middle of a family picnic is either lying or desperately needs to start guessing lottery numbers. It's considerably more gruesome than anyone would have anticipated, with Barbatos ripping itself out of Bruce's body despite being roughly 20 times bigger. Between demonic children, tragic sacrifices, and gory deaths, the series only gets darker and darker from here, and it's all the delightful awfulness that someone craving a more brutal DC comic would want. Number 3. Batman, A Long Slow Death. Anyone who started the Batman storyline titled A Long Slow Death and didn't expect stuff to get really dark really fast maybe deserves the awful surprise they have in store for them, because the events that take place within it are even worse than you'd expect. The comic details Walt, a man Batman encounters trying to kill himself, and goes into exactly what led him to this point, namely the fact he seems to be the single most unfortunate person in existence. While playing with his son, he accidentally drops him, paralyzing the boy for life, an action that gains him the hate of the rest of his family. At work, he's attacked by crooks, because of course he is, and then kissed by his young colleague, which his wife also finds out about, leading to even more stress in his already busy schedule of absolute misery. Just when it seems like things are about to go his way, as his son begins to regain the ability to talk and Walt fixes his relationship with his wife, there is an earthquake, which sends all of his family bar him tumbling to their doom. And that's the end of the comic. Gee, fingers crossed nobody got that one for their birthday. Number 2. Arkham Asylum's Family. Truth be told, there are incredibly few moments in a serious house on a serious Earth that wouldn't qualify as insanely dark. Disease-stripping villains, electrotherapy, and a bloody fight with Killer Croc, however, all managed to be outweighed in terms of grim tone by one small section towards the end of the comic. Throughout the comic, we are shown the ever-unstable Amadeus Arkham, owner of Arkham Asylum, but it is only towards the closing of the story that we get an understanding as to what made him that way. In a scene that feels more like a deeply disturbing fever dream than a series of comics pages, we are shown Arkham discovering that one of his patients has broken into his home, killed and assaulted his wife and child, and dismembered them, later finding his daughter's head in a dollhouse she used to play with. The event is understandably responsible for a total and immediate breakdown of the owner of Arkham Asylum, and sets the tone for the rest of the comic, which then gets even darker, despite the fact that it should probably be impossible. Number 1. Damian's scenes in the death of the family. In terms of darker Batman comics, the entirety of Death of the Family would qualify all too well, as until Dark Knight's Metal, it sat for some considerable time as the darkest thing put out in DC's recent history. However, there is still a chance, however small, that some part of Death of the Family will see conversion to the big screens. With the story being so undeniably iconic, there's real potential for a savvy film studio to capitalize on this with an adaptation that carefully skirts around the comic's grossest parts. Which means that Damian's portion of the series is without a doubt scrubbed from any potential script. Where every other character's interaction with the Joker isn't totally comprised of complete horror, the youngest Robin has a bug-infested, gore-filled nightmare, complete with the Joker turning his skinned face upside down to create a panel that may genuinely make you nauseous if you see it at the wrong time. Goddamn, someone get me a bucket.
Hello YouTube, we're turning things up to 11 with the launch of What Culture Music.
It's our brand new channel featuring all those lists you just can't get enough of, including creepy hidden messages in your favourite pop songs,
as well as radio-friendly songs that detail literal murder. That's as well as chatty faces where we get personal with you on our sordid musical tastes, in-depth discussion podcasts, and we're even doing quality fun stuff like tournaments and quizzes too.
There's going to be something for everybody, so come on over and make some sweet music with us.
Or just watch the videos, that works too.
Like, share and subscribe at the link below, and we will see you there.
Bye.
And that was our list on the most traumatizing Batman moments the movies will hopefully never use. Have a more gruesome story to share? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I've been Ewan. Torment me with more disturbing Batman sequences on Twitter at @HumanRuinsThings, and I'll see you next time. Bye!